What's up, everybody? This is Raf and Tom.
Hello, Tom.
And this time around, we're going to be reviewing Gamera Episode 3 here on Kaiju Connection. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get right to it. Okay? So, the beginning of the episode, we see that Kaiju parts are being transported, but they are rapidly deteriorating. They are unable to preserve those for studies on how the Kaiju work. And there we see Mr. FBI over there, which I always call Mulder, is overseeing the whole process, and he has his doubts.
I think he's looking on at them like maybe there's something good to eat for dinner there, but that
Yeah,
could be me.
I haven't had anything in a while.
Just a
And
little bit of barbecue sauce on there, and it'll be all right.
yeah, and then they're talking to the suits, the corpos, and take it away, Tom.
Oh yeah, they're just debriefing them, saying yes, you have to take the children to the island. You have to have the crystal and the kaiju chunks, and then you can complete your mission. Other than that, I don't know why they're going to the island. I studies to keep the children safe, which it seems more like the children are bait, but
Yeah, we're going to know this at a future episode, but this is more likely to do with the fact that this island is, of course, going to be owned by the government. So I really believe that if not the final battle, that something really important is going to go down there, and they're going to lose a lot of stuff. I believe so. So here we see the kids aboard the ship, and everybody's having the time of their lives. They're seeing the ocean. You have Joe, Junichi, Boko, and Brody, and of course, what's going to happen is Brody, being the little geek that he, right, Tom? That he
yes,
is
Junichi, not Brody.
yeah, Junichi. Junichi, he's gonna be all tits up in the air about the tech stuff that's gonna be on the ship, more so than the voyage itself. And then take it away, T.
Then Zegra comes, and he's that's actually no, that's not the boat they're on. That is another military boat that he's attacking
Exactly.
that had other children on it, which we don't get to know who those children are or anything. They're on there, and Zegra's attacking the boat, and I don't think that boat does so well.
Yeah, at best. Yeah, things didn't turn out so hot. Actually, things turned out pretty hot for the children.
Well, yeah, a little too hot.
A little too hot for comfort. Then we see the military attacking Zegra, and it's a heavy duty attack, but of course it's not enough to take Zegra out. And I've enjoyed the sequence. This is something I've been enjoying throughout the whole fucking show. The action sequences, they not only were good from the outset, but they're getting better and better with.
No, you're doing it wrong. The animation is terrible. Find 30 reasons to hate. Oh wait, we're not those kind of reaction. We don't do that here. So please, yes,
Yeah.
like and subscribe, because we're actually going to give you our true opinion. We're not going to just say it sucks so that it gets your attention more.
Exactly. We're not going to probe you with a cattle stick so we get free comments. No, that's cheap. And if that's your only legacy, if it's your only means of getting famous on YouTube, then you should reconsider your career. And, the animation's getting even cooler. They're getting more diverse. They're getting more dynamic, which is something we're about to see real soon when Gamera enters the fray. He joins in on the action, but we get to that a little bit later. And then we see Zegra just swimming away.
In the aftermath,
It wasn't exactly an aftermath. It was an onslaught. Aftermath usually implies both sides are fighting. This wasn't much of a fight. It was an attempt. And then we go for the episode's title: Run Silent, Run Deep. And here's a piece of advice for you when you're watching this episode later on. Please I ask this with all my heart. Wear these. Or something akin to it. Wear good headphones. Because the underwater sequences, they have this audio mix that's awesome, and I'm pretty sure that if you listen to this on your TV, you won't feel the meatiness, you won't feel the goodness, all the care that was put into it. So headphones.
Yes, beautiful soundscape in the show on top of beautiful animation.
Exactly. And then, of course, Joe, no, little Joe, poor Joe, he is struggling because, he's getting seasick. And you can see, everybody's standing up, but Joe, he's not doing so hot. And here we see exactly what I was commenting. Junichi is all tits up in the air about everything he's seeing. I almost gave it away. But everything he's seeing on the boat, he's talking, oh, this is a second, third generation radar. And, it's like the world doesn't exist around him. He's just, wow, technology. And the kid's expressions is really fun because Boko's like, what the fuck?
Junichi's just in awe with everything. Completely wrapped up in everything around him.
Yeah, and Brody is like, he's, not taking sympathy, but, when you look at a kid and you're like, oh, that's so pure of the child because, Brody has been around military stuff probably ever since he was a kid. But then he sees Junichi and he goes, oh, well, he's having fun. That's cool. So, good going, showrunners. And then we cut to Shinji Ikari. Tom's never watched Evangelion. I intend to correct that. And take it away, Tom.
Taziki and Amiko want Boko to come with them and the other kids, but they have to convince Boku's mother to let him go on the ship, on the trip with them. And she's saying, well, he's got his studies. And they're like, well, he'll have the finest tutors. We graduated from, I think, he's Harvard or Princeton or something like that.
No, both. I think he's from Harvard, she's from Princeton.
Right, and so that impresses Boku's mother, and I think that was their trump card to get him to go.
But you're in a fucking military vessel with all that cool stuff that nobody's ever gonna get to witness in their own fucking lives. And are you going to worry about your studies? Yeah, Mom. Sure. So they go, and once again we see Junichi just starry-eyed about everything. And Miko, Miko is remembering her own self as a kid because there's going to be a character development for her, and she was basically Junichi. Didn't have a whole lot of friends, was always by herself, thinking about theories, tech stuff. So, she sees herself in Junichi. And there we see Boko's face again. He's like, okay, isn't this a little bit too much? Then we see the main meat of what this ship is actually transporting. Take it away, Tom.
Yeah, that's the Beryllium crystal.
Yes.
Beryllium, that's not kryptonite. No, that's the Beryllium crystal, and they somehow have it connected with the kaiju. They can detect traces of the kaiju's presence with it somehow, and it's linked to them. So I'm guessing we're going to find out more in the future about the Beryllium crystal. So
I think I just had a realization.
Okay.
Those kaiju, they're not going after the kids. Like the kids themselves think. They're going after this.
Possibility. I mean, it is Gamera, so there's a connection with children. So maybe it's both. Maybe you're right.
No, I really think they're going after
the
crystals.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I know that just like you had in the movies, that crystal that connected children to Gamera. Maybe they took that concept and took some liberties with it and turned it into something besides what it was. We'll have to wait and see. So here's the crystal again in all its glory. I'd love to have this on my desk, lighting up the room. I mean, it'd be awesome. It'd be really cool.
See, it does look cool, but I would like to have it for other reasons. as long as I didn't get killed, I'd like to have it just so it attracted the kaiju. I'd like to look out my window and see, hi Gamera, how you doing out there?
How can someone know so much yet so little about kaiju?
I said if I could do it without getting killed.
How can someone know so much and yet so little about kaiju? Okay, so here we see Joe. He's not doing so hot. And there's a little exchange between him and Brody. Again, remember, they're buddies now. They're friends now. And we see them talking about
Yeah.
the ops. They're actually they're basically briefing the suits and what they're doing.
Yeah, it's basically just update. This is happening. Okay, do this.
Yeah, I know, paperwork stuff. And then this is an important scene. I'm actually going to show the screenshot first because Junichi sat down with a map and he said, "Hey, the first kaiju appeared over here. The second appeared over here. So what if we go around the island and predict that's going to appear on the other side?" And it's right then that Brody, he picks up Boko and Joe. Pulls them to the side and says, is Junichi always like this? And the kids, they say, yeah, Junichi is always in his own world and he will say some absurd stuff like that. And that shakes Junichi's confidence. It was a touching moment. I empathize with this because as a kid, I kind of felt like Junichi a lot, the tech stuff, while other kids were eating glue. Now it's different. Other kids are smart, have grown up to be smart adults, and now I'm the adult that eats glue. But, you know,
I've seen him do it.
yes, multiple times. So, this is actually a cutback because Junichi remembers the story. He's talking to Emiko, where he walks into this classroom and he tells everybody that there's this UFO. He knows where it is, and everybody laughs at him. They leave class, and then Joe and Boko, they appear, and they actually listen to Junichi. Joe says, "Hey, you're pretty smart," and they head over to the side, and they see something. It doesn't matter if it's a UFO. They're kids. They see something alien like that to a child flying in the sky, so they go, "Oh man, you were right, you were right, you were right." See, they're pointing, "Hey, but hey, Junichi, you were right," and then there's Joe, "Yeah."
That's totally it.
Yeah, god damn it. Then this is the sequence where I'm gonna call her Amy, and Junichi, they're remembering, they're sharing.
Nico.
Yeah, they're sharing stories. And thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
And there's a little bit of a touchy moment because Emmy, she says, I never have had any friends and like that. And then Junichi says, "Well, I'm gonna be your friend." So it's like they're kind of healing their own inner children. Emmy is actually happy when she hears this. It's the people who wrote this. They really know about psychology. Not any pedantic level, but just enough to make something believable. Good going. Then, of course, that was the calm before the storm, and everything goes to shit. Zigra actually catches up to what now? I'm fairly certain that was the crystal, not the kids. Maybe that other vessel had some traces of crystal left. I don't know. And just about, shit's about to go down because, you're in a military vessel. And, well, that's it for the kids, isn't it? They're all, they're going to meet their maker. They're going to buy the anime farm. You can see that there's those torpedoes again, some sort of resistance that try putting up a fight, doesn't work. And then they get to the bridge saying, "Hey, we got to do something. There's too much at stake here. We got to move." Doesn't happen. They're still there. And then the savior appears just in the nick of time.
As soon as Zigra's coming out of the water,
Exactly.
Gamera comes up and just intercepts him, grabs him, and starts fucking him up.
This was a perfect Bruce Lee. Just as the blow was about to connect, it's like I say, the animation in this, the cinematography in this is awesome because as you're like 2 or 3 frames away from a direct hit, and then Gamera goes, "Oh, denied." And this was so awesome. This was so awesome. I think this is the better treatment, the best treatment that Gamera has ever received up until this point.
I believe so. I mean, they started treating him better when the trilogy came out, and depending on how you feel about Gamera the Brave, I think they did him pretty good there too. But you know, there's the first Gamera movie, then there's a bunch of stuff that's iffy, and then we get the '90s trilogy, and then Gamera the Brave, and now this, and this is by far, the best iteration of Gamera.
Yeah, and this is where Tom and I we kind of go separate ways because Tom enjoys longer fights. He said himself, Dragon Ball fan. But as a kid, I used to do that too. But as I grew older, this isn't a stab at anyone, okay? But as I grew older, I tended to enjoy more practical stuff. And every battle so far has been. It's like I told Tom, they don't pad it so it lasts longer than it should with stupid stuff, but they don't shorten it. It's actually believable, and we've already seen more than once that Gamera is a highly intelligent kaiju, at least in terms of adapting to combat situations. So it's pretty clear to me that okay, he's gonna go. How can I end this as fast as I can? And he always succeeds, even if the scruffs don't end on the first encounter. So the ship's burning, but the people are still alive. And then what Gamera does, this is a conjecture of my part, but Gamera being a savior, he being a protector, a guardian, what he does is, instead of jetting up and creating so much, I don't know, turbulence, energy, shockwaves, or whatever that could possibly capsize the boat, what he does is he actually boosts down to buy the crew of the ship time to escape. And this makes me so happy because I'm a nerd for those details. I'm a huge nerd for this. And when I caught on to this, I thought, hey, he was doing this, this, and that. So really, it's beautiful. And he already goes down biting at Zigra's jugular. That's what I say about Gamera. No, let's end this now. Gamera intended to end this fight as he was going down. As we can see,
Yeah,
there's a fuckload of blood coming out.
I agree with you on the fact that fights shouldn't have a bunch of padding in them and garbage. Because I know what you're talking about there. I've seen fights that drag on, battles that drag on with a bunch of nonsense that doesn't need to be there. I just want them to have a little bit more of a struggle. Gamera should go for the kill blow first off. You do want to end it. 100% agree. But I like I like there to be a little more resistance. I like the fight to be a little longer. Like maybe the enemy doesn't die as quick. Gamera is powerful, but I don't know. I just like to see a little more resistance.
Yeah, but this has to do with the show's good writing. Because, of course, the battle wasn't going to end here, but also that other kaiju is armored. So Gamera was doing his best. You can see a fuckload of blood coming out. But it's believable that the fight wouldn't end there. The scripting in this makes it so that, fights not ending almost as soon as they begin makes a whole lot of sense. And then am I okay with it? I'm just not like, for example, remember Dragon Ball Z? Planet Namek is going to blow up in 5 minutes.
For 12 episodes, yeah, that was a bit much, but I'm still, I like a little more meat on the bone. That's all.
No. Okay. I'm just extrapolating to, emphasize on what I'm saying. And here we have one of the most spectacular underwater sequences I've ever seen in any animated film. Which is basically, Gamera is fast. Even underwater, he's still very fast. But he's not a water kaiju. He's not even streamlined enough for this. You can see he's all bulky. He's kind of chunky, and whereas Zigra is like a giant stingray. So who do you think is going to get the upper hand in this? So on this next scene, what we see is the ship is collapsing. It's going to capsize. The ship has been lost. So they go into this module that they had underneath the ship, which is a sub, and that elevator is going to take him straight to it. And we can see that Mr. FBI is a little bit of a chicken shit. That kind of disappointed me. I expected more out of him. And go ahead, please.
Amiko's grabbed him because she was like, "I'm sick of your shit. Shut up and get in." Thing.
Getting the robot, Shinji. I'm gonna make you watch Evangelion because I'm gonna use that reference many times, and then you people are gonna know he watched it when he begins laughing when he hears this. It's a running joke. It's a running joke. Then we cut back to the battle, and as you can see, Gamera is being chased by Zigra. He knows he cannot outrun, he cannot outpace Zigra, but yeah, okay, this is the only one we got. He knows he cannot outpace Zigra, but he pulls a lot of evasive maneuvers, and we can see that even underwater, this bulky motherfucker is fast. He's absolutely fast. And he's
Fast,
actually even
agile, and skilled.
Yes. That's why I say, that Gamera is an intelligent kaiju because he's developed skills. That's not just instinct. So there's a functioning brain inside. Very good one. And he even comes to a point where this is milliseconds, snap decision. He's able to, open a distance enough from Zigra to be able to turn around and smash him. And as he does, he releases this pulse/shockwave, very high pitched, that disorients Zigra. Because as we'll come to learn later down the line, is that Zigra moves, he orients himself mostly through radar, a sonar.
Sonar.
So Gamera thinks, okay, so you use sonars, let me disable that. Let's see how good you think you are. And here we see the sub escaping, the module, the sub, ship's lost, it happens. Excellent take. I really like the cinematography in this. Then we see more shots of Mr. FBI. Nobody's giving a shit at him at that moment, really, because fuck him. And this is a very important point. If you watched our previous review, episode 2, I said that, maybe Junichi is going to have his time to shine. He's going to be, it's going to be an episode where he's the only one who figures something out. And the decision, the success, the survival of people is going to hinge precisely on what he has to say. And this happened on this episode. So what he's telling the sub's commander is, look, if we can reproduce the same high-pitched pulse that Gamera emitted, we could probably disorient Zigra even more. Or at least we can keep him in this state where he doesn't exactly know what's going on around him. And he comes up with a very solid plan. He asks the technician, the radar guy, hey, can you reproduce this? Now, actually, first he goes, did you record this? And then the guy said, yeah, of course. And then, well, can you reproduce it? And then he goes, no, not with the same power, not with the same output. And then Junichi begins explaining his plan. He's got, well, there are radar towers nearby, if we could get to them and amplify them. But that would be a very risky thing because they need to expose themselves. And the sub-commander is thinking, no, we should sit here and hold position and try defending ourselves. So, I think it's the next slide. Yeah, he's like, oh, what's a kid? Who's going to believe the dreams of a little kid? And then Junichi is demoralized, but something really cool happens that everyone decides to go with them. And then was it the commander of the sub or Mr. FBI that said, "Well, what's the use?" It was Mr. FBI, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Taziki.
Yeah, and one of them says for moral support, like it's the obvious thing. You're gonna go with your friend. It's a gut thing. It's a hard thing. You're going together. Doesn't really matter. You're fucking with them. So there you have the ship, and they speed up the ship. They decide to go with Junichi's plan. They speed up the ship enough so it can kind of torpedo itself out of the water and land nearby the comms tower that has more than enough output to reproduce what Gamera had done. And then they're disembarking, but of course Zigra is really fast. Even though he's disoriented, he still manages to catch up. He's recovered his senses. And okay, you want to talk about this, Tom?
Yeah, they're running up the side of the mountain to get to the transmitter towers, and Junichi falls, and all the other children pick him up and come on, we'll carry you up to the top, and it's a heartwarming thing. It's kids coming together and being there for each other, and so they just run up to the tower and carry Junichi up there with them.
Exactly. Exactly. And I must outline Brody. I don't know why. I think he's become my favorite character in the show. It's nice to see that, okay, he's one of the gang now. Boko
Yeah,
being the little leader, he says, help me make a horse. And then the kids instantly pick up on this. I had never heard of it. I thought, what the fuck is he talking about? But,
yeah, me too. This is a new one on me.
the other kids, they instantly pick up on this. And it actually becomes a lot easier to carry another person because of the weight distribution. It's being distributed among the three of them. So they get a lot more speed. Really good stuff. And you can see Amiko's reaction in the background. She's like, oh, that's really smart. And Mr. I make a point to show him. Mr. FBI is going like, huh, what are they doing? Well, they're actually pulling their heads out of their asses, unlike you. They're actually doing something so we don't die. This was a nice detail. I didn't comment on it yesterday as we were watching. But Gamera's teeth marks, they're still there.
Yeah, attention to detail.
Attention to detail. Would have been the easiest thing. Oh, no, just erase it from his model. No, they're still there. And they're going, after they're done, they're exhausted from carrying him, even though it was easier. They just plop on the floor and they say, hey, Junichi, it's up to you now, man. Take it away. Go. And he goes up the stairs. Everybody follows. He begins looking around at the servers or whatever for what he was, the piece of equipment he needed. And he finds it. Junichi is a genius. It doesn't take him a long time. He's like, oh, okay, so this is this, that's that. Oh, okay, here's the piece. It's exactly what I need. His own words. Still his. And
Still his.
you can see, the tension building up. Oh, Ziggler is climbing up the tower. Are they going to make it in time? And they do. They manage to emit the very same pulse that Gamera emits, and that disorients Zigra because if they had failed, I think this would be a pretty short show.
Yeah, they would have been a snack.
At least on the kids' side, we're gonna have to find other people to be the leading characters. And there you can see the exact same pulse that Gamera reproduces. And take it away, Tom. I liked your take on this as we were,
Oh,
pre-show.
yeah,
Go.
that's Boku is having some sort of what I believe to be like a psychic link to Gamera.
Yes.
You notice it kind of in the first episode when Gamera first shows up. He gets disoriented and he's just onlooking. Nobody has seen Gamera before, and he's just like, Gamera? He says Gamera's name, which he couldn't have possibly known any other way. And then in the second episode, when they're asking, when the military and Amiko and Taziki are talking about the different kaiju. They say the turtle kaiju, and all the kids want to name the kaiju after themselves or something that they like. And Boku says Gamera, like he's pulling it from a memory or pulling it from somewhere. So right before Gamera appears in this scene, Boku gets this feeling, and you can hear the sound in the background. It was just a sound of disorientation and uneasiness,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, Boku's Gamera, and then Gamera appears. So I think, like in other versions of Gamera, there is a link between this specific child and Gamera.
And it just reminded me of something during the kaiju naming thing. Brody was full of shit. He blatantly says, "Well, why don't we call it, something Douglas, his own name? He has
Yes,
like three names. Why don't we call it like that?" It was ridiculous. So of course, Zigra is moving in for the kill. The bite marks are still there. He's gonna go for the finishing blow. No, not happening in a million years.
Gamera's there to fuck shit up.
As he always does. And what ensues is a very quick conclusion. Because Gamera is about to charge his beam. But, Zigra is going to clock in this, and he's actually going to try and pull a fast one because he's already noticed Gamera. But, as you can see, his tail going between the woods, he's actually trying to pull a fast one on Gamera to ready a sneak attack. And then when he finally lunges, Gamera, I don't know what you think about this, Tom, but I think Gamera also clocked in on this. He knew.
Yeah, but he gets stabbed nonetheless.
Yeah.
But it seems like it didn't phase him. It was just like, okay, you stabbed me, I'm still going to kill you.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Gamera, just like in animals, when the prey knows it's time, and the predator knows, this is not ending your way. Same thing. And this was an awesome part. Because after the stab, Zigra, he takes a little bit of flight and then shoots a plasma beam, energy beam, at Gamera. But what Gamera does is he crouches so hard on the water that he raises this huge water wall in front of him, mitigating a lot of the laser's power. When I saw this, I actually stopped the episode and I say, Tom, hey, I think you didn't notice this. And I explained it to him. There you can see, Gamera raising. He's like, oh, is that all you got? That ain't gonna work. And it didn't. So Gamera does what Gamera does best.
Yeah.
He blows
Plasma
people up.
or fire. He just roasts him. Completely burns him.
And I was amazed because it was a one-hit thing. Like, boom, done.
Yeah, it was like burning paper.
Exactly. He tore through the Ziggler like paper. And then, of course, Gamera turns around, job done, I'm going out. Then we see this aftermath. I like this. Ever since I watched Pacific Rim, because there's the aftermath. The government, of course, is going to collect as much of the kaiju as it possibly can because it's trying to study those fucking things to learn more about them.
Oh, they're trying to eat.
Or that. Maybe they have this huge party coming on, And you can see right here at the bottom end of the screen that they're loading. They have those huge hovercrafts to load all the parts, whatever they can salvage. Probably not the whole thing. I think it would have needed to be a joint helicopter operation, many birds in the air to carry it, or because we've seen stuff like that before. And I just got to comment on this because whenever I see those prehistorical type of lizard kaiju, what game do you remember, Tom?
I don't know. Give me a clue, man.
Panzer Dragoon.
Oh, Panzer Dragoon?
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe a little. I see it.
No, have you played Panzer Dragoon Saga?
Yes.
Have you beaten it?
No.
Then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, because really, we're getting sidetracked a little bit here, but we are going to feature Panzer Dragoon. We are. So subscribe now to Kaiju
Oh, yeah.
Connection. You know, it's going to be a fight over who gets to do what game. I call dibs on Saga regardless.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're going to decide this some other way. We're probably going to have a Godzilla video game fight off screen to see who does what. And if I lose, then if I notice I'm going to begin losing, then I'm going to shut down the emulator and say, hey, Tom, power went out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Nah, just kidding. Because in Panzer Dragoon Saga, you can change your dragon's type. You know, you have the mystical type, you have the attack type, the defense type, and the speed type. And with this was really amazing, because with every nudge on the D-pad that you do to, you know, change your dragon's specs, his shape will change. And when you lean it towards the defense type, he looks exactly like this. Almost exactly like this.
They do the same in Panzer Dragoon Orta. You can change dragon type in mid-flight.
Oh,
but
really?
It plays more like, yes, in mid-flight. But like I said, it plays like the original Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon 2.
I'm going to play Orta. Then comes the end of the show. I'm actually going to show this slide first. Everybody was together, but then Junichi decides to run towards Emiko. They begin talking. And Brody's reaction is kind of fun, because I think it's Boko that says, well, girls talk. And Brody goes like, what? And then they repeat, well, girls talk. And then Brody completely loses his shit. It's like, say that again, please. He says that like 3 times. It was awesome. It was so well done. Because we then find out that Junichi is actually a girl. You know, so this further adds up to the feeling of loneliness she can get. We were calling her a he, you know, just not to spoil things before we got to the conclusion. Because, you know, she was a girl. She was among all of the guys, probably. No, I'm not going to do this. No.
Okay.
Because of the social justice warriors, because, you know, you're a girl, and then you only have boys to go with. Then you find another girl that's just like you. You think you're not going to latch onto her?
Right.
Female figure, someone to look up to.
Social justice warriors might be a good thing, though, man.
Nah, I don't want that hate, man.
Okay. It's undeserved hate, but okay.
Yeah, you know. So, you know, Brody realizes, he finally learns that Inichi was actually a girl, and you can see a girl talk, just like I said, you know, girls talk. And I think this actually further enhances the bonds between Emi and Junichi, at least in our eyes, because we you know, as you're growing up, you're gonna look to something to look up to. You know, you're gonna, hey, you're this guy, you're this kid. Then, of course, you know, things that can go, look towards men or women. But according to the way the scene was played, then I think it was, yeah, you know, Junichi, she saw herself in Emi, like, oh, this is someone I can look up to. This is someone I can aspire to be. It's closer to me. You know, that's
They resonate with one another. I think they see one another in one another.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So
very good.
there's a link there. There's definitely something there.
And okay, you can quote me on this later, but I'm not sure if Brody was just astonished by the discovery he had made, or if he actually has feelings for Junichi.
Right?
because there's this the scene goes on for a little bit longer, but he's staring at her, and when you're staring at someone just for a little too much.
Yeah, it was like that. It,
Yeah.
it kind of like it panned in like he was
First his face, then
focusing.
hers.
Yeah, and he's focusing on her, and it kind of like gets closer and closer, and like he's really giving her attention now.
Yeah, I know. This is just a guess on our end, but I really think that could be something there. He could have a crush on Junichi. So this was it for this episode, and to me, this show just keeps on getting better and better. What's your grade, Tom? First,
Yeah.
let's be respectful. You tell us your grade, your rating for this episode on the comments below, and you can also donate to us on the Patreon because we've set this up. We've set our Patreon system, and we're still working on it, but it's already live. So if you want to help support the show, then you can make donations right there. We're going to leave the link on the description below, and also tell us your review of this episode. We'd really like to know. So, Tom, moment of truth.
Hmm. Well, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. Number 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. I still haven't reached that 10 yet that I'm waiting for. It's a great show. I love it. I'm going to rewatch it. I enjoy
Absolutely.
watching it. I enjoy reviewing it. So it's a great show. It's a 9.
To me, it's a 9 too. Previous episode was a total 10. Was an absolute 10. This is a 9, but that's, I don't know about you, Tom, and our viewers, of course, but to me, oftentimes the difference between a 9 and a 10 is so subtle. It's almost like an undertone an overtone that something has that makes you go, "Oh, this is a 10."
Right.
The difference between 9 and 10 isn't that big as it would be from maybe, I don't know, 5 to 6.
Right. Anything above 5 is good in my book. So getting content like this that is a solid 9 every episode I've watched so far is more than good enough for me. This show has gone above and beyond my expectations. So
Same. As we were, this is talk we actually have after we're done watching the episode. We always watch it on the previous night, and we were talking about this, and it was an instant and a no-brainer consensus that neither of us were expecting much of the show. I'm not saying we thought it was going to be bad. But, we weren't expecting it to be the greatest thing on earth. It was just, okay, it's going to be a cool and entertainable series. But what have we seen so far?
I had high hopes.
You had?
I had high hopes, but I didn't think it would be this good.
Oh, okay. But, I didn't know what to expect. I was just thinking about having a good time. Tom had high hopes, but not this high. And with every episode, there are, they're blowing our minds away with every single episode. It's always something that's different. Get on the robot, Tom.
Huh.
When you watch it, you'll understand this pose. But, yeah. This show is always going above and beyond our expectations. Which, with every passing episode, I think you'll agree with me on this, Tom, gets higher.
Yeah.
So far, we're halfway. It's always been outdoing itself. So what more can you ask? Well, he
It's going to
says
be hard to
season
live up
2.
to outdoing itself by the end of the episode, and online I see that they are greenlighting a season 2.
Yeah,
So good stuff to look forward to.
absolutely. And listen, we're not yanking our chain. We're not pretending, oh, we've watched everything, but, we're going to act like we don't. We didn't. Which is okay. A lot of people do that. I don't really judge. Maybe oftentimes it's a time restriction thing, so you script things just like AVGN does. But I haven't watched the fourth episode yet.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it tonight.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap this up, and this evening just can't come fast enough. So, any closing thoughts, Tom? As usual.
Oh, just looking forward to the next episode, and I hope it delivers like the other ones have.
Oh, I have a very good feeling. A very good feeling. But we'll leave it for tomorrow. So this was Raf and Tom once again at Kaiju Connection. And thank you for watching. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, join us on Patreon if you want to support more things in the future. And we'll see you tomorrow with the next episode of Gamera Rebirth right here on Kaiju Connection. See you later.
Kaiju Connection.